have a
Okay,
conversation.
wait. Oh, go
Kapag
ahead.
peaks ka mo, it's goods, okay?
Yeah.
It's like the way you guys were conversing. It's Sisa. That's how we do.
All right.
I'm just so awkward.
It's
No, you're
okay.
not.
It's all
You're
good.
not.
Yeah, good.
Okay. Morning song. Yeah, yeah, hey, ho, hey, ho, hey, ha, hey, ho, hey, hey, we are, hey, ha, hey, ho, hey, hey, ho, hey, hey, ho. Yeah, 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 hey, ha, hey, ho, hey, we are, hey, ha, hey, ho, hey, hey, we are, hey, ha, hey, ho, hey, hey, ho, hey, hey, ho. One sky, bewa panoma, se se sane kamoa, me ora kwa kita sino, ayo One sky, bewa panoma, se sane kamoa, me ora kwa kita sino, ayo, ayo.
Oh God. They're hell deadly.
Fans all of a sudden. We got fans. We got fans.
We got fans. All right. Good morning, everyone. Tatam Scott now, kakyo. Today I have with in the studio Ivy Houle and Christine Tradewell and Tyler and myself. We're gonna be talking about um a little bit about the treaties. There was a treaty gathering last week in Coal Lake. It was a treaty 1 to 11 gathering. And Ivy was able to take some people there. We borrowed a van from Al at the bus lines. And so yeah, we'll be kind of diving into that stuff today, this morning. As always, it's really important stuff to talk about. It's really sensitive. Just for like I guess as a disclaimer, you know, the opinions that we're going to be sharing, or the positions, the observations, they're all just personal opinions. we're not trying to speak for anybody. We're not trying to represent anybody. We're just, sharing our experiences with, the things related to what's going on at that level. Before we get into it, just FYI for the people out there, there is a treaty gathering coming up at Fort Pitt. It's an annual treaty gathering that Onion Lake hosts. I think, as some of us know, or as we all know, the Treaty 6 was signed at Fort Pitt on behalf of Onion Lake. We signed on September 9th in 1876. So every year, Onion Lake tries to have an annual commemoration or on that date or around that date to keep the treaty spirit alive and keep the awareness alive. So the one for this year, it'll be on September 8th, 9, and 10. Sunday, September 8th. For the ones interested, that day is usually dedicated to like ceremony. So they'll have some lodges and some teepees set up there, and the elders. So for those interested and wanting to participate in that, that'll be going on September 8th. On September 9th, there'll be breakfast, lunch, and supper provided. They'll be starting off with a pipe ceremony, and then a recap of last year's meeting, and then a treaties 1 to 11 update. And then they'll be going into Canada's termination agenda, UNDA action plan, AFN concerns, July meeting update, resolutions affecting treaty, JP child welfare, laws update. And then they'll have entertainment in the evening. On September 8th at Fort Pitt, they will have a round dance in the evening. So for those wanting to participate in that, everybody's welcome. Same with the ceremonies throughout the day and throughout this whole event. Everybody's welcome. So if you have the time, feel free to make your way there and participate in the discussions and learn about what's going on out there in regards to the treaties. There is camping available at the location, so for those that want to camp, you're welcome to set up camp over there. Coffee and refreshments will be provided. There'll be entertainment on each evening. For more information, you can contact Leon Whitstone, 639-840-3003, or else Blair Mountain. So again, September 8, 9, and 10, that's Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. This is going to be coming up at Fort Pitt. Other announcements, just FYI, Chief Henry Lewis, I believe is in Ottawa right now. He's dealing with the matter there, so I assume he'll be giving an update on that in Fort Pitt. So there's a lot going on out there in regards to the treaties. So if you want to get updated or you want to get in tune with that, Fort Pitt is where it'll be at this Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So I think with that, thanks Tyler for the song. That's really awesome. So we'll just have a little quick introduction. We'll start to my left, and then we'll go around this way to the right.
Aloha, Dansa. Good morning. Miyogi Sigansik, Tyler Cardinal. Sin was we take us Saga in Utinia. If you don't know what that means, Google it. So, but yeah, good morning, everyone. It's a good day. I'm enjoying my morning so far, and I'm just glad to be here. So, hope everyone has a good day. Egosa.
Good morning. Hi, Bini and Sigason. I'm from Nista, Wichekas Kosiusaga Igani. Nanaskumana Nutsu Takapitutya. Learning to understand about our treaties. Gagwinanstutaman, how it relates to, I guess, lifetime. I worked in the field of child welfare and I really get intrigued that Tansigaki Ogami Samamyupai.
Hello, my name is Christine Tradewell. I'm not fluent in Cree, unfortunately, but I'm a caregiver here in Onion Lake, community member. I'm really interested in the treaties and I enjoy going to the gatherings. I'm still navigating my opinions still. I have a lot of different speakers that were talking. Some of them were a little conflicting, but I'm just trying to form my own opinion and mostly just share what I heard so others can do the same. I still don't understand everything, but I'm doing my best to share everything that I learned. Exa.
Hi. So I think with that, we'll get into it. I'll open up the floor. Wherever you guys want to start with this, Ivy and Christine, maybe just share your guys' experience over there, your observations. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them on the floor. We are live right now. So people do have the ability to comment. They could ask questions or make recommendations. We could see them on the screen up here. Or else they could even phone in. So for the people that do have my number, or else I could put my number on there too. If you want to participate in the conversations, feel free to join in. We don't know everything. I think we don't know very much when it comes to this type of stuff. So we're not trying to be professionals or experts or anything like that in regards to this stuff. We're just sharing our observations and things we gathered along the way. So with that, I'll open up the floor wherever you guys want to start with this.
Well, I guess namati tanit kuya. First of all, Istananaskumwan giving us the opportunity to head out there to the Cold Lake Treaty Gathering. For my own self, treaties had always been a political thing, not entirely as to how it'll work with our everyday life on this land. It seems like I've come to an understanding where whatever we do in life, I'm grateful for the participants who come out and then joined us. There is an interest in learning about our treaties. At the time, for my own self, being in the field of social work, learning about our Nehio lifestyle, our medicine lifestyle, I come to see while we're at the gathering, there's medicine trades that happen, people talking and sharing how their knowledge on the medicines that they have. Back in the day, that would have been a part of gatherings. Lots of good food, lots of good entertainment. Uskaya kay tutahakok. Comments from our young people. There is like I didn't even have a boring moment here. I really enjoyed it, and they really itakakita from the young people we took there to the elderly people we took there. There was something for everyone. Kititin, is that you figured that's about there?
Yeah,
Christine.
They were really welcoming to us. We didn't really need to buy food or anything. They had lots of food. One of the things that I remember the most that I didn't expect, we were able to eat bison. They had a lot of bison soups, roast, and you can even tell the difference. And I'm not I don't eat wild meat, so I was pretty shocked to be able to experience that. and bring some home to my family. They had lots of leftovers.
Yeah.
So I brought some home to my family. They were pretty shocked. They liked it a lot. So just little things
Oh,
like that. I
yeah.
never would have expected to be there and doing that. But
Mhm.
they pushed people, and that's all they had. Elk meat. So it was just a cool experience for sure.
Yeah, tapos we got to see we didn't get to see Armin Duck Chief. Sam, we left too early because we drove there every day. In the
Yeah.
morning is Kuipaya, come back at night. It was getting a little bit like sure tiring to get there, but it was like a challenge. I
Yeah.
guess everything I begin to see whatever we do in life, it gets to be a challenge. Kasugay tami. People have to have that discipline or that time where pogo kakaskihua. Well, our last day, second last day,
Yeah.
and it was getting to be more like we're doing this for the purpose of our people.
Yeah.
When I see this, as long as the sun shines, rivers flow, and the grass grows, endurance, the treaties becomes an endurance, a test of our time, a test of who we are. Kasugita mapogo kanihiawya. We had people coming up there that talk Cree. 21-year-old, like fluent in Korean, council, role models
Yeah.
like that our people can look at and say, I want to be like that. The young men we took there, it's almost like they were the warriors. And I really enjoyed them to see this, to have the ability to say, well, maybe someday I want to be a leader, to be a leader and to know the treaties. And ego manita ka, we're here to listen, to learn about the treaties, to learn about our future. This is your future. Nihiyawik. Talk Cree. Kagwek skate man, Christine is like a godsend. Data man mana. Boy mo. She's the one that takes lots of notes and things like that and wanting to understand Tanteume Euchia. Where are we from? We are from Turtle Island, Kitaski Noma. This is where we're from. And medicine wise, for me, spiritual wise, the spiritual intent is kind of what I got from there. The spiritual intent of who we are. Kasugi Tamaya, Kipmatsuno, land base. I love my Nihio Medicinista. How can it help us? How can it help us to know, to heal us, the medicine chest, the medicine option of education, Mina?
So I have a question. Just in regards to the whole experience, for Ivy, and I really like the things that you're touching on right now. If you can, couple of questions I have. Maybe I'll just start off with one question. Just in regards to the whole treaty stuff, what happened over there, and kind of where this whole area is in your own observation and your own experience being like in those circles. And I want to ask you this in Cree. Maybe I'll say it wrong, or maybe you won't understand me. And this is a question I've been thinking about yesterday, because the other day we went to a pipe ceremony at the Round Hall. And it's an exercise that we do in the community, and we offer protocol and all that good stuff. And for myself, everyone like spoken Cree, Tansi say paksemuya. That's what it's about, right? And when it came to me on behalf of this program, I couldn't do it in Korea. I did it in English, and it's not a good feeling. It sucks, when being a nehyo and not being able to communicate with the older people in the language, or in those circles. And yeah, to me it was like heartbreaking.
Yeah.
to not feel like you're at that level, especially with like the next generations, like inheriting the responsibility of these responsibilities, for our communities and our future generations, and trying to keep our identity intact in our language. So all of that stuff, how does that tie into the treaties, the medicine, the identity, the ceremonies, the language? Why is this stuff just as important as this stuff? The treaty stuff and practices, the ceremonies and stuff, the language. Why are these equally important? Or are they equally important, or is one more important than the other, or else are they the same thing? I guess another way of asking it, from a different angle, is Damega Dagite Nehiwewin. So I'll put that on the floor for you, Ivy.
Moen kakskitin kakyogi kai titin na magaya kani hiao yoma like near kaituan I speak Ngamunyawan once in a while just so you'll understand where I am or what I'm talking about. Maga so when I turned 40 gaitwi, I started thinking I'm gotta know about my Nihio life, my Nihio way of life. Tanikimaguma. I remember as a young person, my dad taking us to Fort Pitt, to Frenchman Butte, the battlegrounds there. If gitu taigwa, we'd go have a picnic there and we'd go through. He'd share with us the story of Chief Big Bear, Stahimaskwa, Expegagi Notunto, where the battle happened with I guess him wanting to save his people from starvation. Kag the Moxtic, Muino take the Moxtic. They had rifle pits there and things like that. Manipings namagwak. And to this day, when we go there, we can see those places. And they say Chief Big Bear, he wasn't a chief. Itokman, he was more like a medicine man. And he was a person that he would do things in prayer. Ikikaskapatiupta itokmana. He made it smoky or a cloud, maybe the mist. He made it misty, and his people were able to sneak out of there from the redcoats, is how they call them. And when we look at that, the spiritual aspect of who we are, intent in treaties, pugoganihiawya, iginihiyawit. So when I was learning my medicine ways, hekdeta pe lun lake kituta maksagay kani wigis intonan to na ma rat root. That's wigis. And this nakswa this person, and he asked me, did I actually we got skipete na chumuwin. Did you ever hear of Bimatisuwin? That's what he asked me. Bimatisuwin. And he gave me this gamitin kasumit no mangitigo na. So I guess people will see I my manis te teams on. I don't value myself to be a person of knowledge in the spiritual concept of it. Magan gochimik. So ego may weeks kinamatan maskiki pimatis winiki sigatik. This is a medicine from Chief Big Bear days. And he passed it on to me. And he showed me how to make that. Back in the day when our people were starving and our people were needing energy, survival, they would sit around in a teepee. Igiwasa kamip chikman. They would make a pot of this bimatis when isikatiguma minikwewen. And each person would sit there drinking 4 drinks, four sips each. They'd pass it to the next one. Igwe kitachikama that pot. until they finish that teapot. Iksingiti ka na, ksnamagi kan, pass this on to the people. Let them know the story. And at that time, I felt like, oh, this is so great. Our life is so great to be a nihio. Kanihiawia, kakskitama, nihiogi kwe, tatugiskaw. It's a challenge. Katumo sa akin naman maskiki. And you have to know your nihio self. Katumo sa akin naman maskiki. You can't just do it on a call of like, oh, okay, let's go pick medicine. It's got to be a journey of life which ipmutin kagaskihuin pimatisuin. And that's how I think umuta treaties kaskitak, how is it how is it connected to our language, our pimatisuin?
Yep.
There is a connection there where Gispin kanutix kita ma spiritually in the spiritual realm itokman we our forefathers, our grandfathers, they knew the language. How can we talk with them kitigo no mana in English? I don't know. Is there a translator in heaven? Is there a way to translate all this? Exisa, these are the unknown things. We have a gift of our language, Kistano, Kanihiawia. Growing up, my mom, my dad was the munyao, the one talking English, kaksnamaswa, discipline to ourselves. You hit that home run. That kind of talk. You're gonna get there. You're gonna make it. Kasugitaman. You're gonna graduate. One day after the other, he taught us that discipline. Our mom was the one na pitugwa nigin na kipahas ko atim. And then I'd look at her and Tansimaki Gwemaki Usitana at school. Oh, we were playing we're talking English ninan and she'll say, Ikaman moinkin stutat nihiawe. She would tell us, I don't understand English. You gotta talk Cree. So we have to keep conversing back in Cree. Pugogakwi nihiawe kiamata munyawe ko. Even though we're talking English, she'll reply in Cree. Sacha maganstutin, squat team, door, all those kind of things. So I don't know, in the way of the treaties, how can we celebrate our treaties without a round dance? How can we celebrate our life without a Cree name? Kanihiawi hunyan. Ukichitaw skonyan sikasun. Ukichitaw sko means I sit with the teachings in Gitagon. Hewitapita man kisna na. I never knew I'd be doing all this. Kakskita man kakyugs na na. Maga Mantu has a plan for all of us. A spiritual intent of the land base. If I don't know where to pick, how to recognize rat root plant from the top up, how will I know where to go pick rat root?
Yeah.
How will I know where to pick? Yesterday, the medicine I went to Fort Saskatchewan for, and I had to go over there for it. How will I know where I have to go pick a heart medicine? And how will I recognize it? If we don't follow this teaching on to our young ones, it's so important. My grandson Ryder, I knew from young age, 9 years old, he's like, I'll help you with that. He wanted to clean, he wanted to learn the medicine ways. So Nixkatin, that's his gift of life. And we all have somebody in our families, pipe holders. If you're a pipe holder and you're getting old, somebody's got to take that role over. This is a 3-generational teaching life, is how I see it. From grandma, mom, Abuchi, the parents, to the grandchildren. 3-generational teaching life. Yeah. When I needed something, my grandma, nogum panikte maniginto, how do I do this height now? Tansmaguma, how do I thin this out? And she would tell me, gaksnamu ita. So uts to spiritual intent. Hopefully, I answered it about there. Maga po kanihiyaw ya.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it you did. I think another part of the question, if you don't mind, Ivy, um, in regards to the language and how important it is to our identity, and even the treaty stuff, and just the world around us. I think like a follow-up question or another way of looking at this whole kind of circle is like wagutuin. A
Oh
lot of
yeah.
times us as young people, I remember when we were coming up through, junior high and high school, elementary, um a lot of the emphasis or the translation with that word wagutuin was our relationship with our relatives, our people around us, our families, our friends, and everybody else. And what I kind of learned along the way in the past few years was that word is actually more than that.
Yeah.
And it's your relationship with the plants and the medicines and the animals and the stars and the universe and everything else, along with your family and everybody else, right? So I think a little bit about what you're speaking about is wagutuin,
Mm-hmm.
dan sisay wagutama, wiges or sweetgrass or even the water,
Yeah.
like everything, right? So
Definitely. One of the things ikiwi tamago yan kaya kwapati no these lakes are drying up, ponds are drying up. Kya no makitatoskyo no eko. That's our duty in life to offer tobacco to the water to come back. A man's duty ito man nape watoskyo neko. So nape oktato kapitamik. Go offer tobacco to the water. Offer tobacco and ask the water to come back. Isko kwista nistaman I offer tobacco to the water. Hey guama moikino te apati no we don't want to see too much dried up ponds and things like that because like I know my yard is like the grass putting grass seed on there now it's like mud dry in some places and wago to winter I see Mr. Hiwasan I guess that's one of the things we almost got broken as a person as a people as a tribe of people residential school so here. So now we have people who are used to look at that. They don't have to have their children with them, or when they go to ceremony, ka nakatawaswa ka. And I got used to that. Leave my children. Now we need to include them so they'll learn what the teachings are now. I see that as an important role. Oskayak kay tute tsikwistawaw, to go to those ceremonies and to understand their future of life. Okay, now I have to start thinking about my future. Who am I gonna pass on teachings to? I'm a grandmother of a lot of grandsons. Muimsta hiskwa waka, two grandgirls, and that's about that's how life gets. We have to pass on our teachings to our young ones. I was just I put it on Facebook actually. Nimanite between up river Nima, passing the river. You know those line of rocks across that pond, right?
Yeah.
Everybody kind of seen them, noticed them, and they're kind of right across the pond. Ego underground in the middle ones, muy nokswak. Some of them don't show because they're already eroded underground. And I was thinking, boy, is this something we're being told Kanagatugya? Somebody should actually go and investigate or talk to that farmer and see what it is. Maybe long time ago. Though, because the middle ones are all under the water. Instead of us, maybe we've come across some kind of history. We don't even know if there's markings on those rocks. All we do is drive by, and that's like somebody's got to get intrigued to go right in there and figure it out. Apo ito gami nakikisipak tayo wakatas tiyo. Maybe it was a marking to say go that way because the river, you'll get stuck at the river kahit these two tine. Maybe it's a land marking from long time ago. And another thing I just wanted to mention, Pieko, a long time ago we had a mediation training here. So these people from, I think they were Blackfoot people, they come here and we were having mediation training, Kihi Watson, how to resolve conflicts and things like that. Ikaw, Chan, during the break, this Pieko, kapikakwitsimita. So what's the story behind here and your Kiawao, your area? And I talked a little bit about Blackfoot. Well, we all know Blackfoot Lake right up north at Bronson area. Some of us know, I guess. Blackfoot Lake, and there's a teaching, a story behind it, why it's called Blackfoot Lake. So I told him that story anyway, and then Samit gave Blackfoot people that those warriors come around there trying to steal the women, Native women, Ito, Cree women. And then he started singing a song like what you were singing, Tyler, Warrior Song, and he was singing that song. I don't know what song it was, but he sang a song anyway, and he said, "Do your Cree people know any songs, warrior songs? What they sang before they attacked the Blackfoot?" That's what he said. And at that time, I didn't know. I don't know. And then I said, well, I'm going to ask Roy Nistas. So I told him I was going to ask Roy Nistas. But I asked him how many years ago, maybe about 14 years ago, Moitska. So I guess in my thoughts, I'm like, I wonder if we have any warrior songs. Ikskisumi namiko, it reminded me, Fraser, to think warrior songs. I'm sure we must have, our people had their songs before they went to war.
Yeah.
And it's really good to learn all these things.
Tyler might have something. Or
I know,
heard something
I
about
know
that.
there is. Yeah, I heard something like that before, and there's a song for everything. There's all types of songs where they have meaning for everything in our culture, our ways. Like they say, everything has a spirit, right? Like there's a spirit in everything. Our medicines, the sun, the water. There's a water spirit. So, but I did hear something like that before, that they had songs like that. Gaya saying, and
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So there's got to be. I'm sure somebody would know, because like there's songs from every community. I'm sure they have their own like. So, but I did hear that before too. But I
Yeah.
never really touched up on it or asked about it. So.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's something I can do and like find out more about that. But I heard that before, what you mentioned about, songs like that, warrior songs, and, there's songs for everything. Yeah.
Just like that song you sang this morning or every morning, like that has its own teachings too.
Yeah.
And time of day, like
Mhm.
when you sing it, when you use it.
Yeah.
First thing in the morning, which is why we try to do that here. So that same idea,
Mhm.
but a song for buffalo hunting, a song for
Yeah.
this, a
Yeah.
song for that, even the ceremony songs, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm sure there's a lot.
I'm sure somebody would
lot
know
of
if we were to ask the
knowledge.
older generation, the older singers. Yeah. So, but I did hear that before when you mentioned that, it just kind of clicked in my head that I heard that somewhere before too. So I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure there is. Yeah.
So just I have a question for Christine, just from listening to this conversation, and Ivy, maybe, excuse me, what's going on in your mind just from listening to all of this, and like how it all relates to the treaty stuff and like everything in general.
Um, Just Ivy talking about Ukutuin just made me think of my own family. We had a lot of obstacles we had to overcome over the years with the child welfare system involved in my nieces and nephews' lives. And what really helped me, that's what really helped me understand Ukutuin, and just knowing that we're all connected and knowing that everything's related to one another. Um, the plants are related to us in a certain aspect, animals, um, and just how I had to be there for my nieces and nephews. And that was one of the main things they talked about at the gathering, is the child welfare system, and that we need to be there for one another. We're very divided, I find, in our communities, Onion Lake especially, unfortunately. I noticed there's a big division there. So just emphasizing going back to those old ways, working together, supporting each other, because I always felt like I never really had a lot of support. And I know there's a lot of people around that feel the same way. So just going back to the teachings, emphasizing the importance of just knowing that we're all related in one way or another. Um, just being indigenous people in an indigenous community, a lot of us are going through the same things, facing the same obstacles. So just, and we don't feel safe talking about it a lot of the time. We don't feel like anybody's there listening. So just using your voices, I find that I struggle to use my voice a lot of the time. So now I'm trying to push myself to speak about these things, even though they're a little bit difficult to hear sometimes and awkward. Um, it's still important. And I know there's a lot of people going through that too. And they feel like, and they don't have those teachings. They don't know the importance of it, and they don't understand what they mean. Like, even I don't understand a lot of the time why people are the way they are, because we have all these teachings. It's like we shouldn't, a lot of the things that go on in the community shouldn't be happening, like no accountability, transparency. Um, there should be none of that. And that was one of the things one of the speakers talked about in Winnipeg. His name was Teddy Many Wounds. He was a really good speaker. That we had a lot of natural law pre-contact, and now this is all post-contact. Now the laws we have now with the RCMP, like a lot of colonial mindsets in the law now today. The justice system isn't in working in our favor. Um, and then it just kind of goes with what the other speaker was saying. Judge Ivan from St. Paul, he spoke about restorative justice. He spoke about a program he's doing with the people. Um, and he spoke about how he had 12 participants in his program. It's kind of, and I think he said 9 out of 12 people showed up and completed the program. 5 relapsed, and then like 3, I think, didn't show up. And with his program, he was saying that when they're done, completed this program, they won't have criminal records, because a lot of the time our people make mistakes. They get a criminal record and then they feel like they can't go to school. They can't, like they have no worth. So with Judge Ivan's program, he's able to kind of mitigate that. And and it's only St. Paul, but like, who's to say we can't do that here? We can have a restorative justice program here in Onion Lake, and we can help our people, even if it's only 12 people that are willing to show up from for the program. And just him acknowledging that it's not all success. Um, I just think that's really important. And we need to remember that we have our own natural laws. We have all of this natural law, all this knowledge, but people, we just need to bring up the conversation more, share our knowledge. Sharing knowledge is a big one, because I find that a lot of the time, and it goes with the language, like people want to share, but they're sharing it in Cree, and then I don't understand, so I don't learn anything. So I just really want to focus on learning my language, and just our knowledge keepers, just having that in mind, that maybe you need to talk in English sometimes, and you need to share, be more open to sharing, because a lot of the time they're speaking in Cree, which I respect, but it's hard for us, the ones that don't understand, who grew up colonized. I grew up in Lloydminster. I grew up with a lot of shame being Indigenous. So for many years, I didn't want to be spoken Cree to by my mom. I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. So now I'm trying to reclaim that as an adult. And I find that sometimes I'm even sitting with my children and I'm learning with them from their homework, learning Cree with them. And it's kind of embarrassing. It's shameful, but that's how it starts, planting that seed in them, acknowledge, letting them know at a young age what's appropriate, letting them know like what we went through in a nutshell. Like I have an 11-year-old and he's starting to really understand, and just seeing him push himself has just been really like liberating for me, um, emotional, because I see him being able to grow up without that shame that I had been planted in me by other people. So just bringing your kids, even if it seems like they're not listening, it's important to have them there, because they pick up, they watch you, they learn from you. And even if it's not as much as you're learning, like you're conditioning them to be in that space, and um, letting them know that it's safe for them and that they belong there. They have a sense of belonging, that they belong there and that there's a place for them. Like even just living in the reserve was a big one for me. Like being somewhere where I know I have a place, I belong here. This is my home. This is where my ancestors lived, and just kind of trying my best to reclaim that. So, and that's kind of what I've been gathering from these treaty gatherings. People are so welcoming, awesome, hospitable. Um, they're kind, and they speak in English at times, but a lot of times they speak in Cree, Dene. But it's just hearing that helps me feel safe and really push myself still. Just little things like that.
Yep. It's awesome. Yeah, I know, I understand, like it can be frustrating because I feel the same way, not being able to understand or grasp the language and the teachings behind those. But what I've learned to understand or accept is that I would rather hear those teachings in the language,
Yeah.
because now it forces me to want to try and learn, or to decode that or translate that.
Yeah.
And to ask questions to someone that knows the language. Hey, what were they talking about on this part here, and this word that they use, what does it mean? So a lot of times, in my own observation, the teachings in these circles with the knowledge keepers and the elders, when they're up there, a lot of times I again, like in my own observation, the only way they can say certain things or share certain teachings is in the language, because when you translate it, it's a watered down version of what the teaching actually is.
Yeah.
So it kind of takes away from, like Ivy said, the spirit and intent of the treaty and stuff. And I know it could be frustrating, and to me, I take it as a challenge to want to try and rise to that level rather than to bring them down to my level. So and another thing Ivy said, and one thing that I wish in the community or at ceremonies or anywhere that I go, and I try to encourage this, but nobody has been no one has kind of fulfilled my request. And Usually what I ask, especially the older people in the language, people fluent in the language, is could you speak in Cree? Like this conversation we're having right now, like could you use the language, rather than trying to accommodate me and talk English, just talk in Cree and force me to try and figure it out. And everywhere I go, I try to ask for that. But and they'll do it for a little bit, like a minute, and then they'll come back to English and they'll try to talk English, and they're having a hard time trying to share knowledge and wisdom because they're trying to talk English, but they're stronger in Cree. And I try to encourage that, but it just doesn't happen that way, and I don't know how to ask that in a nice way to where it just happens that way. It always comes back to English, and like that's as far as I could go. I don't want to say, hey, talk Cree.
Yeah, like
To
business.
I do that with my mom and my dad, and I ask them, like, could you talk Cree? And they'll talk Cree. Then they'll start trying to talk English again, and then I'll stop them. I'll say, no, like, just keep talking in Cree. Like you don't need to talk English because you're struggling, like you're more fluent over here. And it connects with me deeper. Like, I appreciate you talking in Cree more than English, and if you could you please just talk in Cree? I'll force myself to understand, or else I'll force myself to learn. you know it's processing in my mind these words and the sounds of these words, and when I come across these words on my path, I'll have that, it'll trigger something inside me. My spirit will be like, hey, I heard this before. And I'm looking at this word in a different context, even though it's the same word, and now it begins
To play.
processing into my spirit. And the more I hear it, then the more I understand. And then when I'm out in a Sundance or wherever, and you hear the elders talking, I feel like I have a better grasp of what they're teaching and sharing and all of that. And it's because I asked my mom and dad to talk to me in Cree. And when they try to talk English, I stop them and I remind them, could you just keep talking in Cree? And, it's, to me, I feel like it's helped me. And I appreciate them for that, My dad, I feel he has a lot to teach me as his son. And he could be really open with me, and he knows a lot of history, with the what happened in the rebellion in Frog Lake and all of that stuff, what Ivy was talking about, and so yeah, it's something I always encourage. And for the listeners out there, the adults, the fluent Cree speakers, like I encourage you guys, when you're talking to young people like us, to just talk in Cree. Don't have to try and translate, or don't have to try and accommodate us. Like, put us in a situation where we have to rise to your level, and rather than you trying to come down to our level. I think, in honor of like the spirit and intent, like Ivy said, I think that's how we grow and learn as a community, as a nation, and for our kids and stuff like that. Like, so going back to the treaty stuff, I feel like in order to understand the treaties and what's going on out there, you have to know the language. And if you don't, you can still learn it and understand it and all of that, but it won't be the same level or version of, what, like our oral history. Unless you could understand the language. um and like I said, and like Christine said too, like it is, for me, it's like shameful or
Yeah.
embarrassing, or it's hard to not understand that the language or to use it. And yeah, it's yeah, it's something I'm not proud of, and it's something that I'm working on, and I'm really trying to get a grasp of it and learn it to use it fluently.
This
um
next generation, though, the next generation will be a lot
Yeah.
better with Cree.
Tipya kakamni we ka.
Yeah.
You know, kakyogi kwe, whatever we talk about, kakyogi kwe, just speak it in Cree. Kya mataya, imaito ni sini ni tokma na. Some of us, we kind of like this morning bitin on the radio station, Brianna Kapikskit. Tansi kitaskino, like it sounds like a Peter Sisitita ka. Puna ka miksik, all that. And is suko chitmane ko, moy mane wineki, tumama wa hukoma, tapto pinihiyawit. Grandma and the one who raised her kept her talking Cree, tapto, nesto kanihiyawit chikwikwa. That's probably the only way we could do it. Maybe umatwe board kikiwa Cree word of the day kasta. Exumakitwe nanas kumuk. Be thankful, be grateful. Just put it translation. Tato pitukwe ko nanas kumutan. That could be something you could do. Start at home. I put in yeah. Nate got lucky with Stace Bryan. Singing Cree songs. I went to go live with him when I was like 11, 12 years old, him in Wigimagana. And he would sing there lots. Ganesh the guitar and that skating how to play guitar and sing Cree songs. And Gesupig, I know I had to go and live with for a winter. I went and stayed there. My auntie Minanga Wisa go and help them out. My mom would be like, Tawichita, so go help your auntie. Iktiman and Toksataman, clean up. That's what we were doing. Kaganachichigyan isto. Egonistan miti ni nihiyaw yan. Legosak. Nihiyaw ko totoo. We used to have we ama no kid. Nikosaka. Gispin na ya. Munyawi ni pugoya. Markastain na. We ama ni kemonoto chik duke godon. Kahit I didn't want to say their names, but makakskita makumsa chikito takman ha. Nihiyaweta hoya. Awi natin siya. All day they're together like this, having their day together. Okay. Maki ko, puka nihiyaw ya tapto. Aha. Okay. Awi ka na, mo mapo, okay. Aha. Kispinawik punyawi chiksiko na puka iksiko tahote kan. Hama ka machitatan. Kana chichiki chikman na. All day like this, spending their day together. Nobody was allowed to talk between them. They had it Nihawichik all day, talk Cree all day. And I guess that's how they spent Wichito, Exisa, Nistanan, Education Board of Ichivian, Yapyama, Mati sama tuti tanuma kanihiaw yakakyo. Nanakasin nan, we're getting stuck here and there. Magaisa ito ninan with 25 cents, piaksunyas. That's what we had to put into this jar, mayuni hiyawyaka. If we get caught talking English, we had to pay. Boy, in about 3 hours time, we had isunyagya. We made enough there to buy pop, chips, snacks. Isunyagya from each other. Magay sawiyakan naganihiya, we had to munyawi chawyak pukatepay. We had to pay if we broke our little Wichita challenge. Wichita is at one time, I believe, Nititwe. I don't know if it was me at the school growing up, but I think the older generation from me, they were like I don't know, discipline for talking Cree. They couldn't.
Yeah.
They had a strap or whatever they did. RC school, they weren't allowed to talk Cree. Igi pagamahochik. They got a strap or discipline for talking our Neho language, and that's like 3 generations back, maybe 4 generations back from the time of the treaties. Keep our language going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a question for Christine. Last summer, I put in a request to my supervisor, and our leadership, and I asked them if I could take a group of youth and women to the Treaty 1 to 11 gathering in Winnipeg, and they approved that. And I think it was really good. I did a report on that. I submitted it. But so that was last summer. We took a van. We went to Winnipeg, Treaty 1 to 11 gathering. We participated in that. And this year, they had the Treaty 1 to 11 gathering in Coal Lake, which is just down the road from us. So that was really nice. We didn't have to travel really far. We were able to travel back and forth with Ivy. And Christine was one of the ones that came with us last year, and I think that was kind of her introduction to the whole treaty kind of world. Maybe if you can, Christine, share some of what you gathered over there, and how did it evolve to what you gathered over here, your observations, questions you had, or things you picked up along the way, messages, teachings, just the whole evolution of that process from one year to the next, and kind of the direction our treaty warriors are taking us in regards to treaty protection and treaty implementation. So I'll hand that over to you.
Yeah, for sure. One of the things that they spoke every day in Winnipeg, they started with pipe ceremonies, just like in Cold Lake. So I really appreciated that. Starting the day with prayer. There was a lot of different speakers, and they had a lot of opportunities for people to stand up and speak and share their concerns, their opinions. It got pretty heated sometimes. People are very passionate about what they're experiencing, and they feel like they're not being heard. So that was a really good opportunity there for a lot of people to speak. So two of the things that stood out to me over there, there was a lot of things actually that stood out to me. There was 2 women that were doing a program over in Manitoba, in Winnipeg, and they were focusing on birth alerts and stuff, things that aren't supposed to be happening anymore, but are underground still happening. They had a lot of baby apprehensions going on over there. So they made a program. They quit their jobs. They made a program, and they assisted the women that were struggling, that were at risk of having these birth alerts. They were able to minimize them. I can't remember the exact numbers, but they had a ton of baby apprehensions going into the system, and they were able to lower those numbers by just supporting them, being there for them, having somebody there to advocate for them, the women. So I thought that was really important. And it kind of went with one of the speakers was Loretta Belrose. She's a very powerful advocate. She's from Treaty 7. She was also at Cold Lake. And Loretta speaks about the importance of reclaiming our sovereignty and not having the government involved in our decision making anymore. That we should step away from having the government having so much say. They give us funding and everything, but they're very involved in our decision making. And she was pretty upset about that. She said that one of the things that we should do is they should just give us our money and get out of our way. as Indigenous people. So that was one of the things that stuck with me, is that, and it just kind of opened my eyes to how much the government is involved, and that we are sovereign here in Onion Lake. In all of our reserves, we're sovereign. But what does that mean? A lot of us don't even know what that means. What does, how do we use that to our advantage? So one of the ways that they're doing it is, we have child welfare here on Onion Lake. We took that back. We're sovereign here. We have our own child law, but we still struggle with a lot of the same things, I find. She was saying that one of the things is that a lot of these kids go into care. Our band list isn't our whole band list. It's only a certain amount of them. A lot of our children, our band members, are off all over the place, all over the province, in different towns with munyaos, which I know isn't always something we can stop, but when they're in those homes, they don't have their culture, they don't have their language, they don't have a sense of belonging anymore. They don't know where their band is. Ivy shared that when she worked in the welfare system, a lot of the times people were calling saying, I'm from Onion Lake. What can you tell me about my family? And that's when they're aging out of care. So that's already, like, a lot of time has passed. So that was going on up until, like, it's still going on a lot of the time. For me, example, I have I keep my nieces and nephews. I've raised them since they were newborns, but I'm still involved with 3 different agencies, and I live on reserve here in Onion Lake. I live just at the street, and I have Alberta Family Services involved with 1 child, Saskatchewan Family Services involved with another child, and then I have Onion Lake finally with the youngest child. So I was just kind of able to understand, like, why didn't Onion Lake get involved sooner? Because these are all their band members, and we've always had family services in Onion Lake. So it just kind of makes me ask questions, opens my mind, and then I kind of can't help but wonder, how many other band members does Alberta have? How many other band members does Saskatchewan have? Where are they? Are they going to be involved in their culture? Are they going to be at powwows? Are they going to be at their ceremonies? Do they practice their language? Are they with Native families or white families? Like, it's just good to know. It's good to know and have them they're still band members. They still have family here and connections here. And they'll always have a place to belong by being here a lot of the time. But with my 1 child, they didn't even do anything to have a treaty number. I had to push and fight and push them to do that little thing so that my daughter can have a band treaty number. So I just wonder, a lot of the kids out there probably don't even understand or know that they're treaty, know what treaty is. So that's kind of what I got from going to these treaty gatherings. It just showed Loretta is a really powerful advocate for Indigenous people, and she has a really powerful speech. She did it in Winnipeg, and she did it in Cold Lake. So I just she's one of my idols now. I really want to be like her in a sense, advocating for our people, children in care, because that's what they're focusing on in Winnipeg, in Manitoba. But I want to do that here too. Like, we can do more. It's a hard conversation, but just bringing up the conversation so that we can talk about it in a safe place, in a positive way. What can we do? What are some things we can do differently going forward? When our band members are apprehended. But going back to the treaty gathering in Cold Lake, they had the same thing. They had an Elders Day, they had a Youth Day, and then they had a Leadership Day. They had 2 leadership days. So the Elders Day, they were able to talk about what they wanted to see. And then the Youth Day was one of the main days I wanted to talk about. Was they had a lot of members I think they said anybody 28 years and younger would be considered youth. 29, and then they had 4 or 5 people stand up and talk. And what Ivy was saying earlier, a lot of them were fluent in their language, and then it just kind of made me feel bad. I was like, oh man, I should be same way as them. I should be able to talk. Like if they're able to do it, I can do it too. So they spoke a lot about reclaiming that language, speaking, having more conversations around language. One girl talked about having more funding for kids, having more for sports and stuff. They don't have a ton of funding for sports and kids. And I was one of the ones that spoke up, and I went up and I spoke, and I just kind of spoke about working together. We need to do more working together, supporting each other, like because that's what I noticed being from Onion Lake. That we're all kind of doing our own thing, and that it's frustrating sometimes because we need to work together. And two of the recommendations I had made were having more band meetings, opening up board meetings. I don't know if that's even possible, but just so people can kind of have their voices heard by the people that can make a difference. Because one person alone, their voice doesn't really mean much. And that's just from experience. Like I just feel like nobody is really listening a lot of the time. So I spoke about that, and that we need to really work together. And even like, for example, Treaty 7, they're doing all these class action lawsuits. They're holding the government accountable. But that's Treaty 7. Unless we go there and we talk to them and tell them we want in on this, then we're not a part of it. Treaty 7's just doing an amazing job with their advocacy. And like they're so smart. And not saying that we aren't, we're smart too, but it's just a matter of working together. We just need to work together more and hold Canada accountable for all the oppression that we're going through, all the ongoing abuse through the systems. And other than that, yeah, just
Yeah. No, that's good. It's really nice to hear you speak, um and I know we kind of touched on this a little bit before we went live, just amongst the four of us, kind of just brainstorming and chatting. But you know, it's really nice to hear like a young mind coming into this circle and learning and observing and seeing all this really um all the good work that's being done out there on that level. um and I think one of the things that you're highlighting just from listening to you is that there's a lot of work to be done. um there's a lot of work to be done, and also that there are so many like issues in regards to this whole kind of circle. There's so many different issues, like you're touching on one area with child welfare and the system. And for everybody that attends these gatherings, all the things that are touched on and shared at the gatherings, there's always something there that will kind of strike a chord with you. And for you, it's like the child welfare and all of that, for this young man over here, it could be this set of items or this set of issues, and this person over here could be this set of issues. And I think that's like the beautiful thing about it, is that the diversity is there, and areas of interest. There's something there for everybody, and the 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 hard part is like the issues, and I'm not saying those are good things, like, because they're not, right? And we all know that. But it again, like, it highlights the different areas and the different things going on out there on the different levels, and also that, like, I think in a way there's a call out for people to get involved. Like the door is open if you want to get involved and if you want to help out. The more people that get involved, I think the more that can be done. Another thing I learned in my own observation, especially in the past like couple years, a year or two, even three, and this is the reality, is not everybody's into that stuff, into this stuff, into the treaty stuff.
Yeah.
There's people who are out there that powwow all summer, and that's all, that's their thing. There's people who are on the ceremonial trail, and that's all they do, and that's their thing. There's people out there doing horse racing, and that's what they do during the summer, or throughout the year, and that's their thing. And the treaty stuff, there's people who do that and are involved with that, and that's what they do full time. And they're in those spaces like willingly, and and that's just the way it is. But at the end of the day, one of the good things about that is these different avenues or these different paths is it's not right or wrong or good or bad. It's people practicing our identity, our way of life, whether it's singing, whether it's ceremony, whether it's horses. It all like lumps up into one at the end of the day. Like, it all equals the same thing with the treaty thing. So our people who are involved with the treaty stuff, it gives them leverage to say that we're still here and we're still doing what we're doing and what we've always been doing. So it's all interconnected and related at the end of the day anyway. I'm just reading here in one of the recaps and one of the notes, and the one thing that I like here is that it says, just for the viewers out there, the treaties were not made with Canada. Our treaty relationship is not with Canada, so our treaty relationship is with the crown. And when you're in these spaces, you'll hear that a lot from the older people. They want to deal with the crown, the crown's representative. When the treaties were made, that's the level it was at.
We were here before there was a Canada.
Yeah. And it's not between us and Canada. So I think as a first step, our young people need to understand that and realize that and explore that. Like, what does that even mean? And you can ask an elder that. And I think a lot of times we kind of get stuck on that level. We're mad at Canada. We blame Canada, and we want to, deal with Canada and our frustrations. But you hear the old people in these spaces remind us that this is not between us and Canada. So
one of the things, just to remind too, the treaty card, so we're all looking at our treaty cards now. It says status card, so maybe sorry to interrupt you, Fraser, Makais, that's one of the important parts they looked at to kakita stick treaty card, because it already sort of eliminates the treaty when it says status card.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that could ever be changed. Tansi kagitu tami.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that comes up a lot, and you hear a lot of times the reference to 1951. That's when that
Yeah.
change happened. Happened. And so a lot of times you hear discussions around pre 1951 and after, and um yeah, there's a lot there. There's a lot of significance to that. It's not just a card and what you see on it, what you read, and the benefits that it gives you or that you get. When you start digging deeper and exploring that, you'll start to realize why this is really important in regards to treaty protection for the next 7 generations, right? So yeah, so that's a really good point. There's a lot of importance there for the people interested. Yeah, that's something worth exploring. There's people working on that, and they possess a lot of knowledge around that that they could share and teach. So we're an hour and 20 into this, and I know Christine and all of us were kind of nervous when we were starting, and I kind of just had to remind myself and remind us that when it comes to especially the treaty stuff, you'll never run out of things to talk about. There's so much to talk about in there, and like I knew 1 hour wasn't gonna be enough. Like it just showed right now. The things that we touched on here is just barely a little scrape off the surface. Like there's so much there. It's like a huge iceberg, and that's just the way it is. Even when you sit with a knowledge keeper or an elder, one day is not going to be enough to try and learn about. You'll never be able to learn all of this stuff in a lifetime. There's just too much there. But it's a really good place to be and a good space, to listen to these conversations and get these reminders about who we are and our identity, where we come from, and what lies ahead for us, the direction that we're going. So I think with that, we're an hour and 22 into this. I'll open up the floor if there's anything else. Yeah, go ahead. We can keep.
One last thing I just wanted to say is it's a quote from Ron Lehman that stayed with me. He said, "We should not be poor in this land." Like the amount of just in regards to resource extraction, like we have a lot of our resources all over Canada are being taken from us, and we're not getting anything back from it. So that goes against the treaties. That wasn't agreed to in the treaties. They said they were only going to go 6 inches. The depth of a plow is what they had said. So that's another thing Canada's going and doing. And a lot of us in reserves, like we live on welfare. We're poor. Our work ethic was taken from us. So it's just one of those things to keep in the back of your mind, is that we should not be poor in this land. The amount of resources that are across Canada and the amount of money they're making off of them, like we should be getting something back for those. It's just one other thing I wanted to kind of put out there, put in people's minds, plant that seed so that they know. Because for many years, I never even thought of that.
For sure, eh? Nistaya, in my opinion, going through this and living this life here in Onion Lake Cree Nation, I've been here, went to school here, graduated here, and went to university from here, came back here with the intent, wanting to make life better here for the people.
Yeah.
And I was under the TLE agreement, Expigasta, I was one of the trustees for Onion Lake for 10 years and trying to reclaim our land back, wanting to reclaim our hunting land, Bronson Forest area. We wanted to enlarge our land base at the time. This was in 1991, I think, or 1989. Not the Magaya increase our land base and There's so much area up in the north. Like one part in Heat, all these places that we go to, Biga Pakitik, all the Nehio names of our land and the stories behind them. Maybe it's good to maybe do the land-based markings. This is where Biga Pakitik is. Like people probably know my age, Magaisa, I'm Kiawao. Do you know where that is? We need to teach all those teachings. Where how did they catch the fish? Like with that rocks ang up on the hill. Somebody suggested long time ago they would put rocks there like that to catch fish. But was there ever any fish up there? Well, people say I don't think there was any. Like that. My guys, who are we to know? 100 years ago, 150 years ago, Mwikikskiti no. And I had opportunity, a real good opportunity. I really enjoyed my time spent at Big Island Nikaitwe, Mistiko Sagigani. The Cree wording the names. Yesterday we were headed out to Westlock. Tansimagomis ni Hiawika Tiguma, Bonneville and St. Paul and all those areas. What are the Cree names? Everybody had their Cree name for towns, Exise, reserves, Kanihiawika Tige. Me and Auntie March and Gawis, we were just like having a trouble figuring that out. Actually, we never even figured out what's Bonneville or so opportunity to work, talk a lot with the late Paul George Gaiton, Big Island Lake, and he's really by Inita Peak Squid. I'm really grateful the things that he talked about as maskwok. Us as women should really look at the teachings for the Iskwewak. Iskwewak teachings is what he talked about lots. I guess skirts mina dresses kakskaki kapugatansig nagatim. So the missing and murdered women thing becomes another part of our issues. And I just like to say for Christine, I'm glad I met her. I'm really intrigued to know Tansisi Simantonita. Like she's so well spoken in how she observes everything in a student manner, more or less, in inisit. And I believe that there is a journey in life for everyone. Kahyo meksise. There's a reason why we're here together. This aspect of life. Everybody has a different gift for to give to the world. You're a gift in this life. The life that we live, we're all a gift. Kista. I remember the time Tyler. Hi, I'm Tyler. Can you come and do a honor song? I'm not even a lead singer like you were doubting yourself.
Yeah.
And that was at Child Welfare, Family Services. And but I needed to honor the people to come home, to honor them, to come home. Because for sure there was a time when I had people come here, welfare office. Ivy, you want to talk to this person? He just, I don't even know him. And then I go and talk to them. My name is Colin. And I was adopted out when long time ago. And they told me, I used to wish I was born to Hobima, that guy said. Because I'd be rich when I turn 18. Anyway, he wound up being an Onion Lake band member. And he came here and he said, I want to learn about my family. So what's your name? And so I was asking, he's my nephew, kind of like, but he grew up Munyana. He grew up in Red Deer and in the system and all this. Makaya. We all have a journey of life. And we have to help each other build on our journeys of life. Now I see this guy, a real good lead singer, and I know this other time another singer is like, okay, can you sing an honor song for this family? We just brought these kids home. And he's like, okay, back up, sing for me then. He told me, back up, sing for you. I'm not even a backup singer. Yes, you are. You just don't over sing too loud. He told me. So anyway, we have to. I guess iksnamato ya. We teach each other our
Yeah.
gifts of life. Sometimes we're not sure what we're doing. We're treading through, and I've always told people this: whatever you do in life, you're treading through. If you want to be a follower, you can be a follower. But if you want to make new ground, we have to tread in new water. We never know what the result will be. My guys, that's our journey of life to pull our people further in life, kahit di man, in knowledge. So I'm grateful. Paul George, late Paul, I'm grateful. Spent time with him, and I would ask him, talk to me. And he would. I have recordings of him, and maybe I'll still have to share that someday. And he was a really powerful mentor in the treaties. Iksa. Thank you all for listening.
Hi.
Oh,
Oh. Okay, right on. Thanks for coming, Ivy and Christine, Tyler. So yeah, we're gonna end this episode. There's always a lot to talk about. We're always open to discussing more. So with that, we'll turn the page. Just a reminder, September 8, 9, and 10. Excuse me. September 8, 9, and 10, Fort Pitt Treaty Gathering. That's this Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. um, that's our annual commemoration in honor of the Fort Pitt signings on September 9th in 1876. So if this is something that interests you, just know that you're welcome to come and attend, come and observe. There's nothing expected of you. You don't have to say nothing. You don't have to bring nothing. If you want to come and learn, come and learn. It's always a really good place to be and a really good space to be in. There's a lot of love and nurturing and a lot of healing energy that comes with these types of discussions, especially with the older people, the elders and the knowledge keepers, listening to them. It's always a really beautiful space to learn and to grow, and to work on building unity. Having these types of discussions are bigger than all of us, and it's something that unites us naturally. So yeah, so that's gonna be coming up here September 8, 9, and 10, Fort Pitt. um and it's just down the road from us. So yeah, so feel free to participate in that. Another thing for the viewers out there, me and Tyler and Davis, we're running out of podcast episode topics and guests. So we need people to reach out. If you want to be on this podcast, you're welcome to be on here. Reach out and we'll set something up. If you have recommendations for topics that you would like us to explore, we could do research on and discuss on here. It is a community program, and we're trying to connect with the community. I think one other important area is mental health, but even more like holistic health. So the mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, and then identity, treaties, language. Those are other important pieces that we try to touch on in here. But we are open to other things that'll benefit our community. So reach out, recommend ideas, podcast ideas, and it'll give us reasons to keep podcasting. I do have more golf tickets that I need to get rid of, so keep an eye out for draws. I wanna do one today, so keep an eye out for that. Golf and Country Club, They're $100 a ticket. I think I'll group them up into four. I'll have instructions on how you can enter into a wheel of names, and then we'll get that happening. Um, yeah, I think that's it for now. I think Tyler wanted to sing a song to close us off, so we'll do that, and then we'll shut it down.
Cost you a golfing pass. Oh, yep. Yeah.
Oh God. All right, guys, we'll catch up again. Kitam, and have a good day.
Hi, hi. Thank you for listening.
Oh.